What's the first thing you think of when you hear wilderness survival? Is it a dramatic showdown with a grizzly bear, maybe getting caught in a flash flood or a surprise blizzard? We've all seen the movies and TV shows, and they love to paint a picture of nature as this big, scary monster, just waiting to pounce. But here's the thing. What if I told you that bears, mountain lions, and even avalanches are not the biggest killers out there? Not even close. The truth is, the most dangerous thing you can bring into the wilderness is sitting right between your ears. Today, we're going deep into the real reasons people don't make it back from the wild. It's not about the sensational headlines. It's about the silent, invisible forces that lead to disaster. Our own minds, our decisions, and our fundamental misunderstandings of the environment we're in. This isn't just about survival tips. It's about understanding the psychology of survival itself. Let's start with a classic scenario. A hiker gets lost. What's the initial reaction? For most people, it's a surge of adrenaline, a jolt of panic. Their heart rate spikes, their breathing gets shallow. This is our ancient fight-or-flight response kicking in. It's great if you need to outrun a predator, but in a survival situation, it's often the first step toward a fatal mistake. Panic clouds judgment. It makes you rush. You might start walking faster, trying to outrun the feeling of being lost, but you end up moving in circles or pushing yourself deeper into unknown territory, burning precious energy and making it harder for rescuers to find you. This leads us to the single most critical mistake people make. They don't stay put. Search and rescue professionals will tell you this time and time again. Once you realize you're lost, the best thing you can do is stop. S-T-O-P. It's an acronym they use. Stop, think, observe, and plan. But panic overrides this logic. The urge to do something is so powerful that people abandon their last known point, making the search area exponentially larger. A person who stays put can often be found within 24 to 48 hours. A person who keeps moving can wander for days until they succumb to the elements. And what are those elements? Well, it's usually not the dramatic stuff. The biggest physiological killer in the outdoors isn't an animal attack, it's exposure. Specifically, hypothermia and hyperthermia. Hypothermia is when your body loses heat faster than it can produce it, and you don't need to be in the Arctic for it to happen. It can strike in 50-degree Fahrenheit weather if you're wet and it's windy. People underestimate how quickly a simple rain shower can turn deadly if they're not prepared with proper layers and waterproof gear. They get damp, the wind picks up, and their core body temperature starts to plummet. The initial signs are shivering and clumsiness, but as it progresses, it leads to confusion, lethargy, and a dangerous paradox. People with severe hypothermia often feel hot and start taking their clothes off, which only accelerates the process. It's a tragic, counterintuitive response driven by a confused brain. On the flip side, you have hypothermia or heat stroke. This is especially common in desert and arid environments. People head out for a short hike without enough water. They misjudge the intensity of the sun and the rate at which their body will sweat. Dehydration sets in first, leading to fatigue and dizziness. But as the body's cooling system fails, core temperature soars. This leads to confusion, hallucinations, and eventually organ failure. How much water is enough? The rule of thumb is at least a gallon per person per day in hot conditions. Many who perish are found with empty, small water bottles, a clear sign they completely miscalculated their needs. This brings us to another huge psychological factor: normalization bias. This is our tendency to underestimate risks in familiar situations. Maybe you've hiked a trail a dozen times. You think, I know this place like the back of my hand. I don't need to bring a rain jacket, it's sunny right now, I don't need a map, I won't get lost. This complacency is a trap. Conditions in the wilderness can change in an instant. A sunny morning can turn into a torrential downpour by the afternoon. A familiar trail can be washed out or obscured by a fallen tree. Assuming that today will be just like every other day is a gamble you should never take. The wilderness doesn't care how many times you've been there before. It demands respect every single time. Then there's what's known as summit fever. This is a specific type of goal-oriented obsession that has killed countless mountaineers and hikers. People become so fixated on reaching the peak, the waterfall, or whatever their destination is, that they ignore all the warning signs. They ignore the darkening clouds. They ignore the fact that it's getting late and they don't have enough daylight to get back safely. They ignore their own exhaustion and pain. Their goal hijacks their rational brain. They push on, telling themselves just a little further until they reach their goal, only to find they have no energy or resources left for the return journey. And remember, the summit is only halfway. Most accidents happen on the way down. When people are tired, their guard is down, and they're more prone to slips, falls, and bad decisions. Let's talk about navigation errors. In the age of GPS and smartphones, you'd think getting lost would be a thing of the past. But technology creates its own set of problems. People rely on their phones without having a backup. They don't download offline maps. Batteries die. A phone gets dropped in a creek. A GPS signal is lost in a deep canyon. Without a physical map and the knowledge of how to use it with a compass, that high-tech device becomes a useless brick. The over-reliance on a single point of failure is a massive modern risk. True wilderness preparedness means having redundant systems. A phone is great, but a map and compass are essential backups that never run out of battery. Finally, let's circle back to the A word: animals. Are they a danger? Of course, but fatal encounters are incredibly rare. You are statistically more likely to die from a bee sting or a lightning strike than a bear or wolf attack. Most wilderness deaths attributed to animals are actually a result of human error. People get too close to get a picture. They store food improperly in their tents, attracting curious wildlife. They startle a mother bear with her cubs. In nearly every case, the animal is reacting defensively to a perceived threat. Understanding animal behavior and giving them a wide berth is the key. They don't want to interact with you any more than you want a dangerous encounter with them. So the real killers aren't the fangs and claws of the wild. They are the quiet, internal failures: panic that leads to running, normalization bias that leads to under-preparation, summit fever that clouds judgment, and over-reliance on fragile technology. The wilderness is not malicious. It's just indifferent. It operates on a set of rules, and if you don't know them or choose to ignore them, the consequences can be severe. The greatest survival tool you will ever have is your knowledge. It's understanding your own psychological weaknesses. It's preparing for the worst-case scenario, even on a perfect day. It's respecting the environment enough to never, ever underestimate it. So next time you head out, pack your 10 essentials, yes, but also pack a healthy dose of humility and self-awareness. Because in the end, the person you truly need to survive is yourself. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there, and if you found this perspective valuable, consider liking this video and subscribing for more content that goes beyond the surface. See you next time.